and give it a few minutes. Maybe not quite so long. Okay. Just wanted to come and have a chat with some friends. I've got a little bit of time. Thought I would take the opportunity to see what people want to talk about. Did anyone see the moon tonight? Okay, for me anyway, where I am in London, I saw the moon about 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, about on the dot. So 2 hours ago, I saw the moon, and it was very large. Relatively speaking, very large. What is the accepted mainstream answer for that? Because, just 2 hours later, it's lost 20% of its size, maybe a little bit more. It's quite a lot smaller. So either it's sped out, come back in, it's gone in, come in closer to the Earth by, say, 40,000 miles, 50,000 miles. Whipped in, not far, in galactic terms, obviously, not far at all. Whipped in, 40,000 miles, and then, zoop, just kind of goes back out again. But if you ask somebody else at the same time in a different place, were they experiencing the same largeness or shrinking of the moon, and they would possibly not know what you were talking about, or have it but on a different timeline. And this isn't possible if we're looking at a physical object in the sky. So thought I'd mention that, because it's worth pointing these things out to your friends who are stubbornly clinging to the ball. So, how do you explain that to yourself? Could it be you say, it's about the amount of atmospheric lensing that's going to magnify the object, my position relative to it, and so on, right? I know, this is all so much excuse making. Anyway, it's been a bit of a quiet time in the sense of being away from the Globe Light Tour, so I just dropped my oldest son off at a friend's place. Well, it's a friend of his. He's going to stay there for a week because we don't have a place for him. He's come back from university and we don't have a place for him to stay at the moment, so he's staying with a friend who's more than happy to have him come over, because she said the number of times you had our boy over, we couldn't begin to make up that, because they used to love coming. It's 4 or 5 for 24 to 36 hours, at least one portion of the house, or in with the sofas, and between the sofas and a few mattresses, that would be there where they'd be for 24 hours, or playing their games and eating junk food. So for both Jessica and Luke, our older children, it's this is the first Christmas that we've not had a home for them, and it's affecting everybody in the family, pretty much. At the moment, we're staying at my sister-in-law's place. You might have heard me say that. She's very generously let us use her bedroom, and she's sleeping in the lounge with her one-bedroom flat. So that's been the last 2 weeks since we got off the Globe Light Tour. and that's obviously like a finite solution because it's difficult for everybody to be in close quarters, and so with Jesse Nuke coming back, we've had to find another solution. Thankfully, we've got us for 10 days in not far from here actually. A family member of Andrea's is going back to South Africa, and they've let us use their house for 10 days over Christmas, which is fantastic. We're going to be able to be together, and yeah, we'll hopefully get the opportunity to share some of that as part of our thing, you know. I'm keen to be part of conversations, and I had a little bit of time this evening because, as I said, I was just dropping Luke off, and before I get back to Alexander, who's doing fantastically well, by the way. Thanks for asking. Um, despite obviously not having a place, he's getting into his domino runs, building them and building letters and knocking them down, and ball handling. Cheapers, he's really good with that. Um, both the kicking and the both hands and the feet. Anyway, so I wanted to just say hello in the chat and see if there was any questions, and hopefully I'm going to be able to read my thing. I do apologize if I mispronounce or don't see everything. Everyone, Sean Becker, hi everyone, and Boynik, hello, my friend. Hey Red Eye, how you, my friend? Things are fine, and Squirrel. Things are fine, guys. I mean, I think that there are like and and each of us has to walk our path, and there's no one path fits all, one size fits all when it comes to the path, and so be your own long walk. Okay, I lost the connection there. There's still some people here, hopefully. Does that say something? Evening, Dave. Have a look at the potter's clay. He's smashing it at the moment. Okay, I'll do that. Bless you all. Hey, Yeka, nice to see you. Yeah, Squirrel, that's... hey, Karen B, if you're still there. Nice to see you. Alexander is a bright... Oh, my lord. I don't want to be biased and too gushing because, parents are all like that. Or, But, I guess you're meant to love your child. Or rather... Hopefully nature or you're rearing a child gives you the opportunity to kind of love them so much. And yeah, I'm really warming to Alexander's like persistence or his like he's willing to kind of just get involved in it. He just wants to be doing stuff, and I think that's what a lot of kids just want to be doing stuff. So it's nice to be at the moment to be kind of almost forced into having a lot of time with him. When I was on the farm, I was working a lot, and at other times prior, when we had the house, I was obviously gardening quite a lot and doing things that naturally, and that I was away from the house for some of the hours of the day. And at the moment, because I don't really have any outlet as such, I have all of the time to be around him, and I was conscious of that today and going, this is that time to be with him. Right now is that time to be with him and continue to nurture him and so on, despite not having the things that I'm used to. For me, it was all outdoor, not all outdoor, but like the trampoline and go walking with him all the time, or the swings of the park or whatever, digging, even a bit of gardening or whatever. Don't have that so much now, right now, and the weather's not really suitable for it, but we've been doing a few cool things together and really nurturing him. his ABC knowledge already is, you know, let's say, each parent, you got to love your child. I think some parts of child rearing are damn difficult and time consuming. And, as a second time dad, we did it 20 years ago, as you know. So, second time dad, you forget how much time is required for that. And particularly if you want to try and be limiting on the amount of screen time you'll allow them, because I have to say, he's learned so much from the screen, and it's all ABC, 1, 2, 3, colors, recognition, shapes. He knows what a pentagram is. Oh, pentagon, sorry, not pentagram, a pentagon. And a rhomboid. He's saying these words already. So he's learned a lot from that. I don't knock it, like maybe I once did. Although obviously EMFs and all this hoo-ha, but hey, at the end of the day, I think we're here to learn stuff, and who of us hasn't learned so much, if not most, of what we now know from the screen, from this thing. So, I see the potential harm of it, and I was harming myself absolutely with it for a period of time, with my consumption of less than suitable content for the soul and the mind. So anyway, Alexander's just flourishing in so many ways. So that's cool. But anyway, I was distracted, I think. If anyone's still there, I do apologize for waffling. Thankfully, it's not been a lot of comments. Say hi, Dave. All the best. You must remember you have a wonderful family. My wife and my children, and we are all wonderful in our own way, aren't we? So yeah, I'm not different from anyone else. Obviously, like a lot of you, I've kind of become an alien in my own world. An alien in my own world. That's what I feel like now, because people don't see it. People don't see it. I don't know how much it matters, and I'm not carrying anguish about that the people can't see it. The majority of people cannot yet see it, or don't want to, or can't care for it yet. I can't be giving myself a hard time about that and wanting to be angry with people about that, or angry with the system for entrapping my fellow man, because we're all one, and we all come around to ascension. We all get there in the end. I think it all works out. Mother Nature always returns to her natural balance, the natural balance. And for that reason, I have to know that the journey doesn't need to be angst-ridden, anguished. It needs to be received joyously, and at the moment, like it's a bit of a test like that for me, because there is many reasons to be anguished with the status quo, and particularly at this time when it's meant to be about families, that there isn't that connection between me and my blood family that I'm used to having. And so that can be obviously quite a downer, if you let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be. Well, don't. or do. I mean, whatever. For me, it's just like I can't fight the I can't fight the system. I think we've said this before. You can't really fight the system so much as love yourself, or become the change, the light in yourself, and then the 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 seeds will sprout, and in time, what will be will come to be. What will come to be will be. Yeah. Anyway, I was kind of wanting to answer some questions. I wondered if anyone had any questions for me. There's not many people here. Um, I'm in London. My signal is bad. Yeah, catch you later. Hi, Rosamund. Hi. Yeah. Well, I It is England. Yes, it is England. There's no questions. No one has any questions or any. Maybe one day I'll get myself one of those phone-in systems that some of the guys have got. Where you can call in and chat. I suppose we already have that in. Anyway, whatever. I'll get that someday. In the UK, they had a parliamentary selection the other day. 12-12 it was. It was 12-12, and on a full moon they played some more magic on the people of the United Kingdom. If you analyze, you may probably not be interested in this, but I used to analyze politics fairly closely. I wasn't like, like one of these football pundits who knows every player's name and date of birth. But I did kind of follow the politics a bit, and you have to recognize that a clever sort of trick has been played on the so-called electorate or the democracy, because the last few prime ministers, all of them since Tony Blair, have been sort of put in place by the party, despite obviously everyone knows that it's the few that are put forward are those selected by the party already. But since Tony Blair, you had like this succession of people getting handed the poison chalice of prime minister during a time of, like Gordon Brown takes it from Tony Blair, and then there's an election. And generally when there's an election, the guy who's standing holds on to it, because I think because people are like brought to that sense of there's a situation, and they need to kind of they need to have this guy hold on to carry on doing what he's doing. So Gordon Brown hangs on to power, and then it's like this conservative and liberal Democrat kind of, after Gordon Brown, that people are so upset, pissed off, and everything. There's no clear-cut winner, so you get this conservative and liberal Democrat kind of coalition, and from within them they choose the prime minister, really. So they create that. So it's not like the people voted for that. And then you get like, yeah, who was it? Cameron. Then then Cameron gets to hold on to it the next time, and then Cameron hands it over in disgrace to Theresa May, who then does an election and gets voted in, and then she hands it over in disgrace to Boris Johnson, and he obviously then wins his election, as he has on Thursday or whenever it was. And I think that's just like more, wizardry being played on the people. They're not actually even, they're being tricked into having these people, and yeah, it just makes a mockery of whatever democracy is meant to be. I'm not a fan of it obviously anymore, but I have to acknowledge there's a reality in that the system is welded to it. People have spent the last 20 years politically, wasted the last 20 years on squabbling over what level of responsibility Europe can have, Brussels can have over the British system, English people, etc., as an unelected body. So they've been squabbling over that rather than how do we remove the the body of power that has become Westminster. That is sort of this overarching kind of like in the American system where they've got this federal system that's overarching over the states. So Colorado can have its cannabis laws and whatnot, but the federales can come in at any time and say, oh well, we didn't agree to that, and that's bullshit, and that's power further from the people. And I think that even in the case of parliament in this country, the power is still a long way from the people. Um, and that's what they got people focused on, rather than truly bringing power closer to home. They're squabbling over a tier that should, like it's just a fictional kind of thing that's designed to fleece the people on a monumental scale. Anyway, I did some question pop up there. Yeah, okay. I think you and Andrea had been through a huge process, because of the tour. Incredible to see how you both manage it all. The people of the world and all the parts of life. It's snowing in Manchester area at the moment. First time this year. Wow. So cold. And the tour. Yeah. It's funny, I before the tour I used to say to people, yeah, because it kind of helps to kind of drive home sometimes what I'm saying. I say to people that, I'm 50 years old. And before the tour, people go, wow, you're 50 years old. Since the tour, people go, what, is that all? I think because the tour was quite an aging thing. I would do it again. Make no mistake, but I would make some changes to the way I would do it. But we'll, it's a learning exercise, learning process. All of what I've been doing since I started this channel and before, I guess, was learning to do some of what I'm intending or hoping to be able to do going forward. Being a spokesperson or a representative or a presenter or whatever you want to call it. Some people say, we don't need leadership in the world. And actually, one of the 4 cardinal virtues, if I'm not mistaken, involves leadership. That doesn't mean Idi Amin style leadership. It means being a certain way, and also, yes, at times saying this is what needs to be done, because we don't all have the same kind of skill sets and the same motivators or driving factors. So there is a need for someone to take certain, otherwise nothing would really happen. If Robin if hadn't taken leadership, then there would not have been a conference or a convention in the UK this year. If Jason hadn't taken leadership, there'd be no Global Eye conference, Global Eye tour this year. So and I think in the case of say Mark Sargent or David Weiss, these guys are offering a form of leadership in the way that they conduct themselves. You might not agree with everything that I say or everything that one of them may say. Um, Karen B was in the chat just now. I don't know if she's still around, but you know, these are people showing leadership, and others will follow that. And I think that I say often enough that the example of leadership, say as shown by the Christ, the character we know as Jesus Christ, that leadership is what we're talking about. Not like, you know, I'm a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, and my leadership is such that I take home 7-figure salary every year. And no, not that kind of leadership, but it is leadership. I mean, we can't mince with our words. At the end of the day, it's a leadership, and I think that people have a responsibility, to, if they're going to take on that role, but at the same time, we should allow for that. I don't understand why we wouldn't ask that of those people. I think one of the things that upset me, I suppose, in a way, about Mark Sargent back in the day, was when he had that kind of photo shoot in a hotel room with some girls. I never really looked into it, but the photo popped up about a year ago, or maybe 6 months ago. So I have seen a photo of Mark Sargent with some girl straddling him in her swimsuit or underwear, I don't know. But for me, the point of this is because I know that I want to knock Mark, and I've met him since then, obviously, and I don't have a grudge or anything like that. I see him as a contemporary who's been leading the way, and has led a lot of people, signposted a lot of people to flat Earth. There's no ways you can kind of argue against that. But I did think that as a leader of such an important thing, then one didn't want to be caught up in, like, well, not caught up, but creating those kind of, like, oh well, it's seedy. And I think that not that there's anything seedy with having girls come to your hotel room and you spending time with them and stuff like that. We're not that prudish, but it's more about how it reflects on. That's leadership. That's leadership. That's a part of leadership. Yeah. I've what were you periodically announcing in Italian? La terra è piatta. Terra, la terra è piatta. The earth is flat. La terra è piatta. I can't really read this very well. Hey, Kieran. Do a little bit of the. That's not for me, I don't think. Hey, Plague Zero, how you doing, my friend? I'm just having a little bit of a ramble here with myself. I was looking for some questions. I've had a few questions come through, so I appreciate that. Just I had a little bit of time this evening, just a brief bit of a time, to see if there was anyone who wanted to chat about where we're going and what's going on with the world, and are you guys feeling kind of that you need to move to into like a different state, kind of vibratory state, or Because it does feel, as I said right earlier on, it was, like, what is this all about, and are you meant to spend the next few decades or whatever, just pretending, going along with everything around you, this whole construct. I mean, what you can't see is I'm in a high street here in England, and there are shops with their bright lights and so on, lighting the street. Christmas lights on the street lamps. Starbucks coffee, charity shop. It's all designed as part of a, it's like the game platform, I suppose you would call it, or the environment that has been created for the Club Penguin, for the characters to come and play in. But now you see it's a game, and you see that this is, it's a created test. What are you going to do about it? Where are you going? Where are you going to take it? What are people doing about it? Are they just like hanging on for dear life? I don't want to face it. Don't show me this stuff. I don't want to hear it. And then, for so many people who have heard it, just going, I'm just going to keep looking at like data. Just give me more data to evaluate and other shit to fucking measure, And once I've measured that shit, I'll go and measure some more shit. So I don't have to face the reality that this is something much freaking more than 8 inches per mile squared and $52 million a day. It is so much more than that. The reason why I would say it's not, I don't know that it's a flat earth, is because I believe that it's an electromagnetic torus system, and that, we are within the apple. We are within the oblate spheroid. We are feeding in it, living in it, contributing to it. That's what we're doing. And that has God-level consequences, ramifications, I should say. Ramifications. It has God-level ramifications. I mean, it is like, all the bullshit, all the Queen stuff, all the Jew stuff, all the black stuff, the white stuff, the race stuff, the group this and that group that and that stuff, all that stuff. It's above that. It's above that. I know I still need to find the freaking, I need to manifest a place to live and all that sort of stuff. But actually, all this other stuff, it is just illusory. And it is here to kind of entrain and entrap and entertain, and I no longer need to be that. I no longer want to be that. I no longer, And so and I, as you've heard me say, so my kind of life before would have been quite different, obviously, than, because of this journey. But now I'm like, well, I would do my bit of growing, my stuff, as much as I could, the permaculture, the self-nurturing of that. But really, just to go around and spread the word would be where I'd be spending my time, how I'd be spending my energy. That would be what I'd be doing. Not wanting to save up to go to the races. You know, they had an election, didn't care. But I did mention it earlier because I just wanted to point out, for a conversational thing, that people aren't really even electing the selected candidate. The selected candidate is given a little bit of a few months or a year or two on the job before they have to go and get chosen. I mean, it's once you're in the job, it's very difficult to move someone on, and they got so much PR and spin doctoring that they always get their man or woman. So just fascinating from how it's continuing to play tricks on people, and maybe the dates are important, but we are being played. There is a game being played, and there is perhaps an end game, or if not an end game, then a system that's just so cleverly and constantly just working around on itself and continuing to trap like a tumble dryer or a washing machine on spin, just continuing to trap the souls in and in and in, stay in, stay in, stay in, stay in the lower place, perhaps, I don't know. But if you're listening to this and you're for the most part, unless you're someone who's like just waiting for me to say something that you can use against me, wish you had better things to do with your time, but so be it. Anyway, the point is that if you're like thinking like me, you're thinking, well, there's much more to this than simply slipping back into the mainstream for the next 20 or 50 years and just playing nicely with and pretending like all flat earthers have had to do. But I mean, for me, if we realize beyond flat earth that it's a divine story, that it's your divinity, and that there's a soul contract, that there's something much more going on here than even many of the flat earthers would like to think is going on, then I say, what I'm looking for and how I go about trying to find that might edify you, or maybe I can learn from you as you see some of the things that I try to do as I go through this journey with Andrea, Alexander, and our other two children. Obviously, are so important, and we'll see how it all works out for all of us. So that's that. I thought I would just say some stuff. I had nothing expected to say that, so it kind of came out of the blue. Bit of stuff to read there. Kieran, I'm not wearing the glasses. What does it say? I'm finding it so much easier because I can talk to people on Discord that are talking to each other about truth, the shape of the earth. Yeah, Discord is good. I mean, and I've only been on there one time, but I enjoyed it, and yeah, I did. So that's cool. But yeah, I think that's an important thing, though, is that you see, like, my journey was where I was all my free time, or not a lot of my free time at a point, back in my 40s, I suppose, my early 40s, would have been as Netflix and stuff started to come online and all those things, and I was getting to spend more and more time in front of the TV. And not that I ever had like the most expensive package of Sky TV or anything like that, but I certainly, spent a lot of time on National Geographic and the documentary channels and all that sort of stuff as they come, and I, so I wasted a lot of time on that. But then of course I found the 9/11 stuff like that unpacked, and then I'm like, well, I'm spending as much time and more now doing research, and somewhere along the line I realized, shit, I'm meant to be working on myself. And research is an external thing. Obviously, we can be doing research about the internal work, but it is essentially an external thing. And my challenge has been to, have internal time. And I'm grateful that I got to do quite a lot of, physical manual work over the last 5 years or so. Because when you're say digging a hole or mowing someone's lawn or whatever, pruning trees, I used to love doing that. And your mind has time to kind of cycle and be free and declutter, because life is constantly throwing us clutter. Uh, so that's part of my challenge, and of course, for most of us, is a bit of a challenge, I think, to declutter, free the mind. We've been bombarded with so many different things, so many different whatever angles of life, that it's clutter, clutter, clutter. So, yeah, clear the mind, still the mind, and I know that I can do that more. I know that the last little while on tour and so on, I struggled to maintain that discipline, that rigor. But it's something that I work on, and I encourage people to do that too. Um, we have to. I don't have to. I feel like if we're taking this journey, then we should possibly be, trying to keep ourselves or take ourselves along that cleaner path. And it's not to be like. See, I balance this, hey, because the conversation could get to like veganism and things like that, and I could only ever at this point in time only ever be a part-time vegan, or vegetarian. And I know that'll annoy some people, but I'm not convinced that, honestly, with all the research that I've done on various things, this is just one of those subjects that it's like I'm not convinced. But I don't know why I'm digressing onto that. Simply to say that I don't think that life is meant to be such like a whole raft of stricture. Uh, this is not even bottled water; it's tap water as well, and it's just shisha. And anyway, yeah, life should actually be, life is meant to be fun. This time here is meant to be fun at the same time as, and I know I'm not trying to pick on veganism as not fun, because that would be really unfair. Although I did read here today about how women, or rather incidence of baldness is on the rise among young women associated with veganism, according to a doctor. Just telling you what I heard. I do say that there's a lot more baldness around the world today than when I was a youngster. I think that there's a lot more baldness, and actually maybe even with ladies. It might be that I'm more observant now as an older guy, but I see a lot more hair thinning in women. Not necessarily baldness, but hair thinning in women. And baldness in men. They used to make this movie. There's a movie you'll all probably know called The Coneheads, and I'm starting to wonder whether that wasn't some kind of predictive programming, like future poking fun at what was coming down the pipe for us, which was, large amounts of baldness in the male community, particularly, but overall. So veganism and baldness. Yeah, I think we're meant to have. Sorry, I just realized my battery pack wasn't packed on, put in, switched on, plugged in. So I'm just going to plug that in quickly. Let's see. Do I have any battery? Oh yeah. I think that should do it. Did I lose some people? No. Um, yeah, I'm glad to see you, Kieran. So you finding it easier to talk to people. Oh, that's on Discord. Yeah, you were saying that just now. It is nice to have a community of people to talk with. Um, everything we know is like, yeah. And actually, that can, yeah, in itself can be an extremely lonely kind of place to be. To go, shit. Not even the stuff I know is true anymore. None of the stuff. I say this sometimes on the street. I know so much more now, and I realize I know less than I did. Or, no, I didn't say that very well. Yeah, it's okay to be unsure and chill. Oh yeah. No, you're right, Kieran. This is one of the biggest challenges, actually. I mean, I have to speak for myself here. When you feel shit, how much do you really want to put your head above the parapet and say, by the way, I feel shit? How much you want to do that? But actually, this is the thing, is that there is this kind of, there's this much bigger spiritual thing that's way beyond this human ego sense of self and sense of what others perceive and can see and should see and so on. We're a bit like the guy who drives past in the brand new Bentley, that everyone's turning their head to have a look at this beast going down the road. But inside, the guy's busy shouting with his wife, or his children are going absolutely apeshit at the back, because they're just like completely unhappy with everything. But the guy is able to turn up at Sunday service for church, or at the wedding, or wherever it is he's on his way to, and the family all pull themselves together and get out and do the thing, and then jump back in and carry on as they were before. What Andrea and I are going through at the moment is, not the toughest thing that anyone's had to go through, but it's a challenging thing for us, and one we feel like we're going through because we've become these outsiders, because we've become unwilling to subjugate ourselves to in her case, she was working in school, in education with young children, and it just became so uncomfortable for her to be in that environment, putting these children through that indoctrination. And for me, yeah, same with the government stuff. But most things is like, what do we want to put your energy into? What do you want to be a part of? So we'll see. But it is challenging, and being without a home means you don't even have your own quiet place to kind of just spend a bit of time. So I thought I'd come into the car and share it with you. We live in very interesting times, my friends, and I don't know what happens to this material world. Some days I say it like this, that I think that it has to continue, that the system, and that's what Freemasonry hides, is that this system is ill, but must be for the time being. But that doesn't mean we have to be drawn into that dark place or that darkness, or remain in simply that kind of, what was it, that movie called Stepford Wives, to remain in the Stepford Wives type bubble of, well, life is just pretty much dandy, We go for croissants on a Sunday morning, tennis, and then, we'll go down to the yacht club for a little while and, have us a little sail for the day, and then some canopies and a little G&T at the clubhouse before going home and falling into bed with the maid. With the wife. So there you go. And that's obviously what most people who are in the system are in. It's just a comfortable club penguin. Just let me get on with it. My life is quite comfortable, as a guy said to me in Leicester Square the other day. No, in Glastonbury. My life is fine as it is. Don't need to disturb it or upset it. And that's what has happened for you, I suspect, is that your life has been mostly upset by these revelations of the flat earth, of the fact that the entirety of all government is some kind of centrally controlled beast entity that works against itself and for itself, but by a central command. And that, more importantly, this place was designed for you and us, and us all. I don't know about NPCs. I'm not a fan of that. I think that we're all part of the same creation. Different roles, different things that we can see and can't see. Yes, that seems to be clear. But at the same time, we're all of the same creation, it seems. It's raining, so I do apologize for the audio quality. I'll keep it short. I see I've been running for about 50 minutes, and that's a long time to be flabbering on. I was on Brian Staveley the other night. I don't know if you managed to get to see that, but if you're interested in some of my story about how I got to this point, I lay down quite a lot of it in the 3.5 hours, I think it was, that we had, which is cool, with Karen and him. We all have our story and we all have our reason for being here, and I think there's a design to it. A part of that design continues to offer distraction and challenges to hold you from that. And for me personally, my challenge is, as I've said, no home, no income, and no material world or third world prospects that anybody in any of these shops would recognize. And so my challenge is to, keep my faith and my positivity that this is part of a design plan to take us along the way that we all need to go. There are people making content today that are excelling beyond their own previous imagination about what they could do, and I think that's where a lot of us are going to end up, is like doing things beyond what we imagined we would do, at a level and a quality that surpasses where we started from or where we thought we were headed. So we'll see. But I think that if you're going through that, stay true to this, because this is real. This is not this is not what they would want us, what people they try and paint, this kooky, misinformed, or whatever. I mean, you know for yourself how angry people are with what we've discovered in terms of the shape of the earth, and align that to your divinity, align that with wow, they're continuing to play games and getting me to stay in some fight simply about flat earth rather than allowing my divinity to flourish. Stop and remember that your divinity is meant to flourish here. I think that's why we're here, is to flourish the divinity. Where that leads you, where it takes your creative talents, remains to be seen. That's for you to determine, I guess. But let that become you, rather than these squabbles over the nature and the shape of the earth with people. Like, do that, be in those kind of things, but at the same time, that should healthily only be 10% or 20% of your time. I am getting absolutely rained on here, so I just want to say, if you haven't hit the thumbs up, you're one of very few, because lots of people have, so thanks for that. I'll have to, hey, hi Amanda. I'm doing well, thank you. I hope you're doing well too. We used to see a lot of you in the chat on the Globe Light tour, and of course now that's all a thing of the past. I hope Jack and Lisa are going to be doing some touring soon in the next few months, so please look out for that. In the next few weeks maybe. Oh, you're struggling to let go of Christmas right now? It's all lies. But yeah, but it's also like so, and maybe more so for a lady than a bloke, but it's also so much part of our feel good at this time of year is tied into Christmas and the whole thing of that. And I have to admit to a little bit of nostalgia myself, but it's been like maybe 5 or 6 years, because longer than I was trying to sort of get out of Christmas or diminish Christmas for years before I got into Flat Earth anyway. So I was never that, not never, because I loved it as a child, but it wasn't so hard for me, but I think that there are value aspects of Christmas, and there are value aspects to acknowledging nature's cycle, and that, I mean, I know this may upset people that are strictly Christian, if there are any left that listen to me, but I don't think that Jesus Christ would have wanted us to lionize him in such a way. For one thing, I think our birthday is every day. It's like every day we are birth again, or we are, it's a day to celebrate being alive. And so if Jesus was a man like us, but like a leader and a and a man who achieved total connection to the Creator, to God, then we should admire and so on. But to kind of have this whole thing about we're looking back at this dude from the past and we're going to celebrate him. No, we should celebrate our families. We should celebrate our life and our aspiring to be like Christ. I think that's surely more useful to us all. And so Christ would probably shun a lot of the materialism, if not all, and perhaps the tree cutting down business. And he might encourage us to take more of the mushrooms, those red and white mushrooms that grow underneath the pine tree. Yeah, I mean, and to be with, to do service to others, and to be with family, with loved ones. And I think also to eat some, to have some festival food, I think there is maybe that. I mean, some people might argue, it's meant to be a time of fasting and a time of minimalism. Okay. Yep, fine. I mean, there's a great argument for that too, or a great, natural incentive for that, being that, we're meant to be sort of minimizing what we intake during the winter, not overdoing it. So it may even be that, loads of food at this time of year is a little bit harmful to your system. But as I was saying earlier on, I think there is an element of, over purity is something that I would always try and avoid. Over purity, because it's just, where does that end? If you say, okay, well, on this subject, on this topic area here, we're going to go super pure. Maybe not on all these others, but on this one here we go super pure. Well, in 5 years' time, someone else says, well, no, let's go super pure on this one too. And in 50 years or 100 years' time, the only people that are good enough anymore are those that are super pure in every aspect, every sphere, and then we end up calling them, I don't know, like Mormons or something, or whatever. They end up becoming like one of these sect groups that have a whole raft of shit that you can't do and must do on this day and all this sort of crap. And I think that's where that also ends up being out of whack with nature. So that's my thoughts on that, Amanda. But I hope you have a good time. I think if I don't know your personal situation, but I know like for me 2016 was like a tough year. I had my family over in the UK, and I really thought this was going to be the great opportunity to kind of show them that I wasn't kind of losing my nuts and my marbles, and that we were on a flat earth. Totally failed, and I think that now we don't really even want to be together at Christmas time. And that opportunity, if we're not creating that opportunity for ourselves at the moment, and actually, when my one sister visited a while ago, I just I really didn't have much. I couldn't say much because I know I'm not allowed to talk, or I'm not allowed to, or not allowed, but the stuff that I say is not welcome. This tap water is hectic on the throat. That'll be one of the first things I unpack when we move one day, sometime soon. We've got it. It's coming. I can feel it in the air tonight. There's a place with our name on it. A friend of ours, Joe, she reads the cards and takes spiritual like messages and stuff. And unfortunately, she and her husband aren't very well right now. So if they're reading this or hear this, or rather they have our well wishes, Joe and Lyndon. But anyway, she sent us a message saying your house has already been. So it's waiting for you, is what she said, I think. And that's what I'd like to think. Because, yeah, there's something magical going on here, guys. And I don't know how it all turns out, but I think that if Jesus was here and giving us any advice, he would be saying, I want you to have a good time, if the creator of this world created us to come and experience this world, do you really think that the creator would have insisted that you go and live in a shoebox and deny yourself all sorts of experiences whilst you were here? And as a guy who's obviously been through all 50 shades of naughty in my lifetime, I still think, I know that I can still have a beautiful life, a joyous life. Like I just today spending time with Alexander, joyous day. Spending time with friends, say, and like on the tour bus, had some joyous days on the tour bus, or joyous days in Scotland. Despite not everything being like, but to do that with your time is to live your life. And that's why we had to go on the tour. And that's why we had to throw ourselves into kind of homelessness. It was actually to get out and experience this world, because that's what the Creator decided, was to create something for itself to experience. And we are the bringers of that experience. Heaven or hell, it's on us. So there's a few people still in the chat. It's Plague Zero. I'd said it already. Oh, hi, Effie Mary. How are you doing? It's nice to see you, mate. Hope you're doing well down under. Well, it's not really. You guys don't think yourselves as down under, do you? Oh, it's Jane. Jane O'Talkie. I do hope you're well, Jane. I think of you very fondly, and I do wonder about you because sometimes I don't see you comment for a month or two, and which is cool. But I only ask because you know, I know you don't have a lot of a big network where you are. So if anyone's down in Torquay or that way, Devon, make sure you're hanging out with Jane. If you need someone to hang out with over Christmas, sure she'd be fun. There's some positivity coming, my brother. You and your family are so amazing. That's really nice of you to say, Mary. That's very nice of you to say. Thank you very much. Yeah. Well, and that is what you've just given me is love and positivity and so on, and actually just people coming in and saying hi. That's positivity, and as I've said a few times, so I don't like to kind of repeat this too much, but there's people have done really nice things for me. As a return, I suppose, of me doing what I'm doing, and I want to continue doing that. Obviously, it does help that people are able to kind of send you a little heart or a thumbs up or whatever. Oops. So nearly had a little bit of an accident here. It's Saturday night, I think. It is Saturday. And it's raining hard. No prospect for me to, or no even desire to go out. I am so happy to be going back home in a minute and be playing with Alexander, if he's still awake. Yeah, cool. So, right peace of mind, Dave. Thanks, mate. Thanks. Hi Nathan, you're always giving lots of generous comments and feedback and so on. Where are we going, and what are we going to do with this? I think we're going to do something. Surely we're going to do something, continue to do something beautiful with it. I feel it growing. As I said the other day, it doesn't have to be that everybody is coming on the same bus, that same journey. That doesn't seem to me to be the important thing. The important thing is that certain headlights lead the way. Whoever those headlights are, whatever they look like, however kind of they're manifesting, whatever areas of the kind of thing they're manifesting in, all of that will, I think, naturally unfold if it's allowed to. Things do so well if they're allowed to flourish in an organic environment. So, if you only joined later, you would have heard me say that tonight my oldest son Luke, or our oldest son Luke, is shacking up with a pal nearby. He's come back from university, and because we didn't get ourselves that place in time or the right place for us, we're going to put him, his friend is putting up for a week, and then we have a house. A family member has gone on holiday for 2 weeks, and for about 10 days we have a house over Christmas for all of us to be together as a family. So I'll do some live streaming over the Christmas window, and also try and improve on my video making skills, like where I start to, Howard, who was on the tour bus, showed me an app where I can kind of do video editing on my phone, and maybe try and do some video editing and work on the Trinity stuff. And someone was asking about, it was Drew. Hello, my friend. Drew in New York was asking about doing a video on what documentation we went through to get Alexander exempt from having a birth certificate, or rather, to refuse him having a birth certificate and then still get a passport for him. Um, so we want to do a video on that to help people out with that. For those people who are coming down the pipeline later on. Yeah, so I'm not gonna stay any longer because I have to get on with my evening, and uh, that's why we need you on the Discord more. Trinity 4. I wonder why. Just to talk. Yeah. Yeah. I do. I need a platform to talk or share ideas with people. I know that. Part of me setting up this channel was because I was desperately short of people to talk to that understood what I was saying and who could offer me, like a sounding board, who had their own kind of level of insight into some of these things. So, and Discord, yeah, does give that platform. Anyway, I think that the natural kind of for me anyway, I mean, we've only, like, some people have only subscribed to my channel in the last month or 2 months, 3 months, whatever. And in time, other people will have subscribed to the channel. And in that period of time, I might have become a little bit better at presenting the ideas and the thoughts and whatever it is that I do and whatever it is that you do. And I got on Brian's show the other day, and that's something that he might not have considered for a moment to have offered me a year ago. So, this is an evolution, a gradual progression from, obscurity to a role as someone who's bouncing ideas around, having fun at the same time. But I've got I used to think, I've thought about this a lot, quite a bit, on and off a little bit. But the thing is, I've thought this, that why, because you might have heard me say this, I wanted to have a child. Now when we found out flat earth, I was like, I found out about vaccines and how we've been poisoning ourselves, and I did detox, and it's like, we need to have a child. We need to do it again, but properly, now that we know, and now that we've done some work on cleansing our minds and our bodies and ourselves, so that we can do what the Creator intended us to do, which is to, bring light into the world and allow that light to flourish. And I think that Alexander's opportunity to flourish, because you damp it down less at the beginning, like you allow it, then perhaps that's the kind of new light that the world needs. And so anyway, that felt right to me, to have another child. But in 2017 and 2018, say 2017 particularly, because Alexander, that's when he came, kept me very busy, and even now I'm like, sure, he keeps me busy such that it constrains some of my time to be involved in what goes on, like I say, spend time on the Discord or whatever. And because I cut out, I was eating through a lot of social media, and as I said earlier on, like, if you add in, say, movies you were watching and social media, if you add all that screen time together, it was like 8 hours and 10 hours a day, and often, and then replaced with that amount of time in research and more. And some of my journey over this last year or two has been to really to kind of unwind from a lot of that, and not be putting, because I could research forever and I could keep just adding in more and more depth to what or more things on top of the things I'm starting to forget, kind of thing. So and I love research. I'm going to always have an appetite for it, but at the same time, social media is good. I love that too, but I only have so much time for those things, and the time is precious, and I will, you know, I will have to manage that time, so as obviously, and we all do, so as we don't end up being exhausted on external, you know, satisfaction, or external, and I mean, I can't knock it, if my friend Barry, for example, from Wolves, like um, he might only ever want to talk about flat Earth. He might not want to go beyond that. He might, but he might not. And for me, that's absolutely spot on. If you look at a chessboard, you got different pieces with different skills and different roles. And if that's someone's role, to be that person who spends all their time on the technical stuff, and and they're producing stuff and putting stuff out in that way, and then ace for that. But I have to. There's a number plate with FE on it. I love seeing those, because the UK number plate system starts with 2 letters at the front. And whenever I see an FE, I smile. I do look at number plates. Okay. But yeah, so I think it's just about balancing my time. I guess that's all I'm saying, because I can't. We shouldn't exhaust too much time on that, because these things are going to unfold. Like I said earlier on, you may not have heard me say this, but I love the guys who do the experiments. Don't get me wrong, but we're not changing the world with our experiments. They must continue doing their experiments, and the experiments must be done. But I mean, how many experiments do you need to do to prove this? Or is it just like, oh well, I'll just give you another proof, that the blind and the deaf are not going to be able to see anyway, before getting on with working through your own shit. And that doesn't mean you can't do both. It just means you have to balance them. And that's where we can kind of sometimes lose it, is that we get so caught up in the thing that we're good at. I think that's probably part of the flat Earth challenge, because flat earthers, or guys that can see this, are often on the Asperger kind of autistic spectrums. Good Lord. So I would say I would say that we are, sorry, a message just came in, I was reading that, but we are we are often caught up in our particular parts of our research, and don't really see the whole picture anymore. Anyway. Okay, I will have a look at that video, Amanda. Thank you. Yeah, no, you're right, Kieran, and I can't. Yeah, Drew's there. Hello, mate. That's amazing. Thank you, Mary. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, it's noisy. Thanks, buddy. That's very nice. John Ciotti. Teach the kids how to think for themselves. Yeah. Cool, guys. Well, I'll look at that thing, and I'll try and get on Discord. Okay. I'll try and get on. We do need that. So, We'll I'll come around and do this. I'll try and do this again soon. But have a super weekend, what's left of it, or whatever it is that you're up to, and just know that we all are special. But there's something unique about this particular group of souls for some reason. I didn't choose it like this, but it's just the evidence seems to be pointing to it like that. Nothing to be like big-headed about, or tooting the horn about. But equally, let's not squander it, because this system is going to try its damnedest to kind of keep you in that lower vibratory state. That seems to me to be the sole purpose of this hobgoblin creating monster that we're aligned to. Anyway, friends, you take care. I'll catch you soon.